Hi, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Great.
I mean, finally getting a relieved, actually feeling relieved and, procrastinating without any guilt. So that sort of space, that's where I am right now.
Great. Great. So the NLU Delhi, all the things done. NLU Delhi wala.
Yeah. So I made the payment today, the final payment. So I've received the provisional offer letter and the admission letter also.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
think nothing more from my side to be done. Now I need to get I think there's one more allotment yet to be made. So probably it will take a day's
Okay.
time.
Okay. And what about
Yeah.
Jindal? Have you communicated that thing to Jindal? Okay, you are.
Yeah. So today we gave an intimation that we might, we are joining NLU Delhi. So they said that's not an issue. They would process the whole thing. So I thought we'll just make this payment, get that confirmed, and then carry out their procedure or send them mails and stuff.
So that's great. Congratulations to you for securing all India rank 3. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Great. Great.
So thankful to
So,
you.
Dhanya, so as you are already into going into NLU Delhi, okay. First of all, how was the question paper? कैसा था question paper? IELTS PG and the CLAT you have
Okay.
attempted both, and you have attempted twice CLAT PG.
Yes.
So let me tell all those people.
Yeah.
Dhanya has attempted last year CLAT PG exam, okay, and she has secured probably all India rank 368 if I'm not wrong, right? 368, 2021.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yeah.
she had attempted again this year. CLAT hasn't, I mean, up to her expectation. It was not that CLAT PG 2021 that has happened, but IELTS PG definitely it was above her expectation, and she has secured all India rank 3. Okay, so Danya, so how was the IELTS PG paper and also the CLAT PG paper? I'm going to get into it, but how was the IELTS PG paper 2021 and what was the difference? Have you seen any difference? I mean,
Us.
previous year's question paper के साथ कुछ difference ऐसा कुछ have you felt it here?
Yes, so to be very honest, IELTS PG question paper was a surprise for me because I had the week before IELTS was CLAT, and then I had a week's time to prepare for IELTS. So what I did was basically go through the previous year question papers of IELTS. And that basically focused on areas like criminal law, specific focus on CRPC, then even with respect to jurisprudence, it was mostly modern jurists and latest jurists. So I was a bit, I had some preparation on that, but then when the question paper came, it was mostly very direct questions. Like that was very unexpected for me because it was all like very clear, direct, straightforward questions. And that was a surprise for me because I had gone through, say, 2019, 2020, 28. I had even attempted the 2020 paper. I had written IELTS last year. So it was quite a surprise for me that that's how I would describe the IELTS 2021 paper. And to answer the question of how different CLAT and IELTS was, so CLAT was again 2020 was when the pattern changed. So the preparation for CLAT has to be in one line, and then IELTS is completely on a different area. I mean, the subjects are the same, but the way you prepare for both these are completely different. So preparation for both these papers itself was on two parallel lines. But then some of the questions in IELTS PG were also, some recent decision based. And for that, since I had prepared for CLAT, I had an edge because I was aware of the latest paper. So that was definitely there so that was a benefit for me because since I prepared, I focused on CLAT. IELTS was also like had a little bit of syllabus of CLAT. So yeah, both were entirely different. Both were a surprise for me. I mean, both were unusually easy or unusually direct this time, I would say.
Yeah. So, and I mean, this is from the CLAT IELTS PG perspective. And how is CLAT PG this year? Because we attempted last year. Last year was the first new pattern that has been introduced, right? And this time you have another new pattern altogether. Okay, because a lot of things that you people not expected. that were asked. Okay, lot of comprehensions, lot of things, increased comprehensions, wala questions that were asked. What's your first reaction after seeing the CLAT PG 2021 paper in the exam?
Yes. So after I had given the CLAT 2020 paper, which was quite difficult. I mean, it was a very, I would rate it as a difficult paper. So once that got over, my expectation was a very difficult paper, very complex questions, very, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Second. Yeah, you are audible. Your video
Yeah,
is
okay.
that
Yeah.
probably.
Yes, so coming to, I mean, after IELTS 2020, the passages were long, it was time consuming, it was all of that. So you expect such a paper and then you go for CLAT 2021, where you're given, say, 5 or 6 sentences as a passage.
Yes.
Those are quite direct, quite, easy to comprehend. And then even the questions, some of the questions where you can just look at the passage and just like English comprehension, you could just get the answer from that. But then again, it was an easy paper. But when it's an easy paper, you're again tensed and you have to be a little wary where you can't miss out on, you can't lose marks on negative marks. So I think the last time I was not very focused, my exam, the way I attempted the exam, where I attempted a number of questions, I was quite, upset about leaving out a lot of questions. But this time I had to be more careful. I had to be aware. I had to make sure that I didn't have negatives. So I think I ended up attempting fewer number of questions. But then again, the questions were very easy, which made it even more tricky because you had to choose from, to say, two options. You had to decide whether you need to attempt this question or not. So I would say CLAT 2021 was an easy paper, but then again, you had to make smart moves. You had to strategically attempt these questions.
Yes. So in the second counseling list, where did you get IELTS for CLAT?
Yeah, so for CLAT, in the first list, I got allotted to NUALS, National Law School, Kochi. And for the second also, I've been allotted the same place, NUALS.
Nothing
Same.
improved?
No movement yet.
So look at it. I mean, the people haven't left anything so far after first.
Yes. So that was another problem with 2020 CLAT last year, because
otherwise you would have got NLU Bhopal or GNLU probably.
Exactly. So we were also like expecting, I was also like probably hoping to get in some of these places, but then last year all the trends were like shattered and something new happened, I guess. Thanks to COVID.
Thanks to COVID that you are here.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't regret taking that 1 year. I don't regret, getting some experience joining Jurisedge, because when I gave CLAT 2020, it was mostly self preparation. So I did not have a proper guidance of how to go about it. But then it was a good decision that I joined Jurisedge, so that the materials and everything really helped me get perspective.
Okay, that's great. Dhanya, for you, it was quite difficult, as I have communicated you so many times, right? I personally communicated you. The CLAT, as you have already taken the CLAT in 2020.
Yeah.
You are preparing again for 2021. You have given a lot of effort. I know कि Jurisedge student को कितना effort देना पड़ता है, because we are going to make you put in a lot of effort.
Exactly.
So you people have done a lot of things, and again the CLAT was not as expected. As per your expectation, the CLAT hasn't happened. And that day I communicated a lot of times. 23rd के बाद तो बहुत communication हुआ है आपके साथ. Okay, so you were not that good mental space, right? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you were very anxious whether you were going to get into the top colleges or not. Okay? And a lot of things were there in your mind. But within 7 days, I can remember those things. You were talking, sir, nahi hoga sir, AILET to main AILET ke liye, I was never focused for AILET. Okay? My main focus is CLAT, and each and everything was there. And all of a sudden, something or other things I remember I told you many times Dhanya, and we had a session. हम लोग का एक session भी था कि you don't need to worry, you have the preparation. Okay, just focus on the AILET. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes.
it has done very good, and you have already got the I hope result कि आपका preparation अच्छा था ही almost. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it hasn't.
Yes, exactly. So, one another whole thing is about this mental, makeup that you have, because writing it in 2020, it was a no pressure thing, because I had just passed out of college, and then everyone was like in a stage where they were trying to figure out what they wanted. So at that point, writing CLAT, and then you decide you don't want to, you are not joining this time. You say you want to try again, and then it's very easy to make that decision, but then the 6 or 7 months between these two exams, that's where you really have to tell yourself that your decision is right, because at times, I mean, very often you start questioning your decisions. You start questioning, should I have joined someplace and then just finished this off? And another thing was, after CLAT 2020 was when the 2 year LLM, 1 year LLM issue came up. So again, that was another uncertainty, because I mean, you're just like, should I have just joined somewhere rather than just waiting, and if at all this 1 year LLM gets scrapped. So yeah, that was definitely there. That anxiousness throughout was there. And then CLAT 2021 happened, and the results came, and it was not up to what I expected, what I wanted. So that was yet another shock, because, and again, usually IELT happens before CLAT, and this time it was the opposite. So I had that 1 week. And again, in my mental state, I was not in a position to properly prepare or focus on IELT exactly. But and to be very honest, in the last, say, IELT was on a Friday, and Wednesday and Thursday was when these all of this was happening. So it was a lot of disappointment, and I could not spend the time that I wanted to for preparation.
Yeah.
So and then when we went for the exam, also I had like, say, okay, decided, say, if I do not get into the college that I want, I have another alternative. So I had that mind, I had that set, one university in my mind. So it was, and again, getting into the top, I mean, one thing specific about IELT is that you either have to be in the top 30 or it doesn't make any sense.
And you
So
told that thing so many times, मुझे कि top
I
30
know.
तो है sir. Here तो there are so many colleges for CLAT. I would have
Yeah,
gone somewhere, but here only
exactly.
top 30 and for only one university. This is very
Exactly.
difficult. You told me that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would say it again, I see myself, or a person can see himself. I'm talking about me. I see myself, say, in the 100, within the 100 or within the 200. But you never see yourself in the top 10 or top 30. That's very difficult. So, though you really want to go into NLU Delhi, the probability, or the possibility of that happening, you don't think about that much. So the last 2 days, I did not like properly put in my 100% effort for IELT. But then I had a talk with you just before IELT when I was going for my examination. So and you also gave me like good confidence. You were like, try this, and then you never know what happens. It was exactly what you said. So I decided, okay, then you either have to be in the top 30, or there's nothing to, you can't really do anything about it. So, and so that in the examination also, the stress or anxiety that I had for CLAT 2021, I didn't have it when I wrote IELT, because I was like, it's either a swing and a miss, so you have to give in all of it. You don't have to think twice. You don't have to overthink when you write the answer. So that was the approach that I had when I gave this exam. And then after the results came, and when we had a look at the answer key, and I told you about my answer, my score, you were like, this is a very high score. Even at that point, I was like, okay. But again, getting into the top 30 is another thing altogether. But then thankfully it happened. Yeah.
Great, great. So, Danya, why? I mean, there is one thing that I want to ask you, as you are already secured the rank. So, what prompted you to take what prompted you to reattempt the CLAT and IELT again? Because you have done fairly well in the CLAT PG 2020. Okay, right? Would have got into summer. Probably आप उस rank से you will definitely get Jindal. This time you
Yeah.
have already got into Jindal, right?
Yeah.
What prompted you to reattempt? What prompted you?
Yeah. So I did my BALLB from National Law School Kochi, which is a tier, say tier 3, a lower. It's not a top tier NLU. But then I had the exposure of what happens in an NLU. I got all of that experience. But then when I decided to do my LLM, I wanted to do it in a top tier NLU because that was my focus. Because when you do a post graduation, definitely you want to be at an NLU which is a little more better or on a higher level to get that exposure, to get that experience of teaching, all of that. So so that was in my mind. Right when I attempted CLAT 2020, I thought, okay, if I get into the top 5, I'll join. Otherwise, I'll just take 1 year, I'll work for a while, I'll get some experience and then go at it again. I mean, as I told you before, that was a very easy decision to make, but then the in-between period was
one of the huge gamble. You also know it. And 23rd ko aapko pata chal gaya tha, I hope, on the date of the CLAT, ki you would have prepared so much.
Exactly.
And then it was not as per my expectation, right?
Exactly. So my rank in 2020 was around 360, and then this time it was 603. So that was a major drop for me. And to get that in my mind and to sink into that was very hard for me. But then again, I had this worry of now I have AILET. I don't think with this state of mind I can prepare for it. And then thankfully Jindal came. So Jindal was like, okay, I have this in my hand. Now I can take a little bit of risk when it comes to AILET. I can, I don't have to be very anxious or very, mentally worry too much about it. And another thing, sir, was that this 1 year or say 1.5 years of preparation, you would often go and think that all of this is waste. I've spent so much time. Then why did I do all this? But then I realized when I gave the exam that it never goes waste, because all the 1 year of revision or 1 year of preparation that you have, even if you don't study it or go through it the previous day, this 1.5 years of preparation is going to help you when you get a question and then you remember the answer. At that point, I realized I should not have, questioned this 1 year break, because I know many of the answers. I didn't even have to think about it because I've gone through it multiple times over the past few months. Yeah.
That's true. And that's why the students who have taken bold steps like you to drop 1 year and attempt it again, okay, many people succeeded, many people don't, okay. But one thing is very important, that the knowledge and the process and all those things that will waste, okay. You are going to get either in the LLM exams and after the LLM exams, whatever you are going to explore in your professional career, that is going to get used, okay. Aaj nahi to kal to use hone hi. Now as you have taken both the CLAT PG exams, any stark difference that you can see in the both LLM exams, CLAT PG and CLAT PG 2020 and 2021?
So one thing that's constant about CLAT, be it UG or PG, is the unpredictability. Like, it can go any way. You think this is going to be the way, then something else comes to you. So I think the time, because specifically when you ask the difference between 2020 and 2021, was the time that you needed to attempt these questions. So as far as 2020 was concerned, I had like 2-3 more questions. I've heard many people, they couldn't even attempt, or they couldn't even go through. A lot of people couldn't even go through the entire question paper because they had a lot to read. And even the questions that you had where you had to infer something from the passage, you didn't get a direct answer. It was not a static question for you to just try to just take one option, because some of the questions even asked your opinion, or which is the most strong argument, weakest argument, and all of that. But then 2021 was comparatively, it took you say 1.5 hours, 1 hour 45 minutes to completely go through the paper, and then you had time to come back also. But then and the passages were very short. Some of the questions were also direct. And another difference was that the areas of focus, because this time it was more of the core subjects. Even CRPC was too much in focus for this time, because you usually expect from the previous question paper, CRPC is a focus in IELT, but not so much in CLAT. Yeah, so that's one difference. Some topics which came in were different. So we had some, I think, human rights, some questions were there, international law, some questions were there. So that's, so I think that way it was a little different. Time wise also it was a little different. Even IELT for that matter, you usually think that questions would come in the criminal law area, more questions, but this time there were a lot of questions on constitution. So I think that way there was some difference between these exams in the past year and the current year.
True. And another, I think another very important thing that you might have seen, that is the comprehension passages have increased for from 12 to 20. That's a quite a stark difference. And though next year probably subjective part is going to get included in this process. Okay, so time management will be issue for the 2022 aspirants. Okay, so any particular suggestion that you want to provide to 2022 aspirants, Dhanya?
Yes, sir. So I think one thing that I got to realize after I joined Jurisedge was the way you approach a paper. Especially, I think like 2 weeks before CLAT, I had a conversation with you. I had a call with you, and I mean, you were like going through all the attempts that I had done in the mocks, and then you gave me an analysis of how I was attempting too many questions, because of which my negatives were, very high. Negative marking was very high. So so that's when I realized the approach has to be to get the answers right. So depending on the difficulty level of the paper, you try to set a good score, a moderate score for your, an average score that you would think would be the good one, and then try to attempt questions to that level. So don't have very high expectation of high marks, or say there are 2200 questions, don't expect to get say 180 or something, but then get like, we know how the scores have been over the years. But I think depending on the difficulty of the paper, try to analyze what would be the high score would probably be, and then attempt the questions similarly, and then keeping your calm when you attempt as well as when you prepare for the exam, because stressing out, or thinking too much, overthinking, all of that is not going to help us in any way, because that would only like reduce your concentration when you read, or reduce your understanding capacity when you read a passage, right? So especially with respect to CLAT, reading and understanding it at that point within that time is very important. I think for IELT, it may be just one sentence question, or you either know the answer or you don't know the answer, and then the decision of how you want to attempt it or not to attempt is what is tested when you give IELT. But then that's tested in CLAT, but again, your reading skills or your comprehension skills is also tested at the same time. So I think an overall calm, cool head, and then trying to, basically try to find out what would be the average good score, and then trying to attempt questions accordingly would be a strategy.
So Dhani, another question that I want to ask you is that there was a time, like probably 2-3 months before the exam. Okay, we have made you go through a lot of mocks, judgments, all those things.
Yeah.
How did you manage all those things? Because there are a lot of judgments, there are a lot of basics, a lot of subjects, a lot of mocks, a lot of things are there. Okay. Yeah. So how are you going to suggest to 2022 aspirants to manage all those things?
Right. So I think I joined Jurisedge in December 2020. So from that moment itself, I had access to the portal where all the materials were being put in. So that had, so I think the preparation for CLAT or AILET would be to divide it into the core, just classify it into core subjects, getting your basics thorough, and then on the current cases, recent cases, landmark cases. So case law is one side and the core subjects is the other side. So I think what I did was basically prepare notes from the materials of Jurisedge, as well as some basic normal books that I had with me. So for subjects like constitution, jurisprudence, contracts, torts, all of these. So just making your own handwritten notes, my own handwritten notes was what I did. And then, so once I've done, prepared a note, then I go through multiple materials to see if I can add anything extra to it. And so I did that. So since I had like some notes and some preparation of last year, that was a benefit for me because I had some already in my hand. And then referring to the Jurisedge materials gave me more information that I could incorporate into my notes, make it into smaller and wider notes. And then so that was there till say February, and then the mocks started coming in, the comprehension mocks started coming in. So and so since I had given say 5 years ago, I had written CLAT, UG CLAT. So for that also, the main guidance that everyone gives is to attempt as many mocks as possible, so that your time management as well as what you can expect in the real paper, you can get that get a taste of it when you do these mocks, and also a reality of where you stand exactly, and then how you move forward, how you should improve further. So as soon as I started getting these mocks notifications in the app, I started doing them, whether I knew the answers or not. Just do them, and then there would be a lot of wrong answers, and then you go through the answers and then try to revise it at a later point, or multiple times going over the same marks is also something that I did. Then so that was the core subjects preparation. Then the mocks were also there, and then we had to like, even we had live sessions on the recent cases, landmark cases, case notes on in the portal. So all of that, going through that, then important judgments were also like given in the list for which you had to go through the entire case. So for some cases we didn't have to read through the entire judgment because it may not be as important, but for some it may be really important. So just prioritizing these case laws, trying, I mean, reading all say 500 pages of all cases may not be practically possible. So prioritizing it, I remember you had told me about how I should make a list of say 15 cases, which I think would be asked. Your my gut feeling. So try to, in the last few days of preparation, you would just think about what would be the possible questions that could be asked, what would be the possible cases that could be asked. But at the end of the day, that's how I prepared. But at the end of the day, CLAD didn't have many cases as comprehension passage. But again, as you also said, I mean, nothing goes waste now that I'm aware of what's happening around me, what are the recent cases. So it never goes waste. So whatever more the preparation you do, more information that you have that you can apply or you can use in any other way. Even if you don't go for an LLM, you are working at some place, say you take a year off and you work at some place, this is definitely going to help you in improving your skill or in doing your work, I guess.
True. And you were there for so many months with us. How was your experience? How was the journey with Jurisedge?
It was amazing. So I mean, I don't know how to put it into words because I started in December, and as I told you, I had some material with me, but then it was not a structured material. I had some from here, some from there. I mean, somehow I don't know if I was right in my approach when I prepared, but then when you give these entrance exam, I always believe if you have a guidance, if you have a support system that tells you or who tell you what to do, how to do it, that really helps you because that puts things in the right place where it's not, you're not helpless. You can always rely on someone to get some opinion, get some advice. But that I really had with all of you. I mean, all the faculty, especially you, sir. I mean, I could just message you or talk to you anytime to get some help, and that was really reassuring at points. So these materials also, I mean, there were soft copy materials, hard copy materials. All of these were extremely useful for me because it was not too wide. I mean, referring to MPJ for Constitution is not practically possible when you prepare for an entrance exam like this, where you have like 4 months with you. You can't just focus on one subject alone. So when you get these materials, get these live classes, recorded sessions from people who will give it to you in a more structured, concise manner, then I think that there's nothing better than that, I guess. So yes, and another important thing that I have to be thankful to Jurisedge was the number of mocks that I had access to, because there were about 30 comprehension mocks, if I'm not wrong. 30, 30, 31, 30.
30 तो वो आपके जो इसमें आप जो आ रहा था उसमें 30 था, ओके, टोटल था 75.
Yeah, and then there were also like mock waves, so that was there were also about 20-25 mock waves, and then about 30-35 comprehension mocks. So even so that would just, even if you don't do a proper topic wise covering of preparation, you would have these mocks. If a person does these mocks say 2 times or 3 times over, then that would give that person a comprehensive coverage of the entire syllabus. So those mocks were extremely helpful for me, personally speaking. And then these live sessions, recorded sessions, the fact that you can have access to these recorded sessions. Since I was in this 1 year, I was also working. I had like some engagements that way. So even if I'm not able to attend 1 hour class in a day, I could any day go back to the portal and then have access to it. So that's something very unique about Jurisedge. And the fact that, I mean, there are a number of places for UG CLAT coaching in India. There's every nook and corner, there's a CLAT coaching institute. But for PG, I think especially after 2020, where the pattern has changed for CLAT, if there is some institute that can give you guidance and materials, then I think that that's extremely important, especially after the 2020 change in syllabus of CLAT. Even for AILET, I would say, you would think that you know these subjects because you've learned this over the 5 years, but then within the time preparing all of it, covering all of it, you need some help. And I think that would be a great blessing for any student. That's what I feel.
Definitely for sure. So it was a very I mean you also know that a lot of things that we have gone through, okay, and the classes, the mocks, and each and every you are talking about the comprehension. There are MCQ mocks are also there.
Exactly.
Right? So there are a lot of 80-90 MCQ mocks were there. All those things were there, but then another very important thing, it's all about you people, how you are taking it, okay, and how you are applying the things, how you are trying to do the things, okay. So at the end of the day, the student that who are really hard working, they're going to put the effort, they're going to get the result, and you are one of the example like this, okay. You were asking me that day कि सर क्लैट तो नहीं हुआ क्या, पता नहीं आईलेट होगा या नहीं, I don't know, आईलेट के लिए मैं कभी पढ़ा ही नहीं हुआ, I haven't read anything regarding the आईलेट, always I focused on the CLAT and CLAT, okay. Give it a try, okay. Your preparation is already there, and also I mentioned that day, that session on 26 probably, CLAT pattern is totally different, AILET pattern is totally different. How can you judge your one preparation with different pattern altogether, okay?
True, sir.
So that's why, because you have put the really hard work, and not only for 1 year, you have doing it for the probably 1.5 year you are doing it, and you have done extremely well, and now you are in NLU Delhi probably, okay.
Thank
and
you,
what are you going to do after this? NLU Delhi जाके उसके बाद क्या? Academics?
Yeah, academics is in the picture definitely. Though not in the short term, at least in the long run, going into teaching is something that I always wanted to do, because I like doing it, and that's teaching is a passion, and so I want to do law. Law is also an area of interest, so if there's something that can combine both, then that will be like a jackpot. So definitely teaching, but then in the long run probably, because that's still a long way to go. I feel if you want to do it at the best place, if you want to teach at the best place, you need to equip yourself with a number of skills and qualifications also. So that's definitely there. So getting all the exposure that I can get from NLU Delhi, making use of all of the opportunities that I have there, be it a job opportunity or the extremely experienced faculty in their classes, everything. So trying to make use of the maximum in this 1 year. Hopefully it would be as effective in online if I can get an opportunity to go there physically, if things are getting back to normal.
I think it will open, okay.
Yeah.
Open.
So if that happens, then that's something that I'm looking forward to. So this 1 year, I would just say it would be to equip myself, improve myself, skill wise, qualification wise. And then as I said, making use of all the opportunities that I'll have at a premier institute like NLU.
That's great. So it's very wonderful that you are going to get into NLU Delhi finally. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And anytime if you need any help, I'm just one message away.
Definitely, sir. And one more thing that I have to mention is that I got to know that the results were out because sir called me and told me, see, I think if this is your score, I think your rank is AR3. And I was just, mean, I was doing something else, and I thought the results would come at night, but then I got a call from sir saying, see, the results are out, please check if this is right. So that sort of personal interaction and one-on-one interaction that I got from Jurisedge was something else, especially in the last few weeks, because just inquiring how it went, how the marks were, how your preparation is and everything, and then consoling and saying it's okay, now focus on IELTS, that's all right, you will be able to do well. And you said you would never know what happened. So that was really what happened to me. CLAT was my focus. At the end of the day, IELTS was the result that was favorable to me. So yes, again, thankful to Jurisedge, all of you, sir, all the other faculty. Thank you so much for all the help and support.
Definitely. So thank you very much. All the best. Best of luck for your future endeavors. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You'll do really good in NLU Delhi. And definitely, आप जो बोले ना कि the exposure and the faculties and the other aspect, NLU Delhi is one of the best right now in India, and you're going to get that. And Delhi is one of the definitely place to go for any law student, law aspirant.
Exactly.
Right? तो आप तो वहाँ से आपको सब कुछ ही मिल जाएंगे. ठीक है. So all the best. You are going to get all those things. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Same to you.